Hi, I'm Dr. Cass Spencer-Smith of Private Practice Ninja, and today we're going to be talking about tips for branding your private practice. Is there someone that you admire in private practice? How would you describe them, or the way that they do things? You might not think that a brand is that important when it comes to medicine, but actually it's hugely important. When you think of somebody that you admire, you're thinking about them as being the amazing diagnostician who keeps digging till they get the answer. Perhaps they're that very friendly, wonderful oncologist who makes people feel at ease or less anxious about starting chemotherapy. Or maybe they're a wonderfully nurturing, calming osteopath for people who've got chronic pain. When we're talking about people like that, we're actually talking about their brand. Branding is enormously important, and you need to get your head around the idea that branding is super important, particularly in the private sector. Why is this? Well, we only get one chance to make a first impression, and often the impression that people will get when they're looking you up online is your brand. So here are my top tips for branding your private practice. Number one, every clinician needs a brand. Stop and think about it. Are the things that people out there that are saying about you, are they the things that you want them to be saying and thinking about you when you're in private practice? This is a golden opportunity for you to influence this for the better, rather than leave it up to other people to talk about you on the internet and give you their brand of you. You want to be the person who creates the brand. When patients are searching for you online, they're going to come across your brand, and that first impression will literally form an opinion for them. They're going to decide whether you're professional, whether you're a caring person, and whether you're capable of taking care of their particular problem. That's why you need to shape it. And that means that you as an individual become the brand. So it's not about being branding for a big physio practice or a sort of conglomerate of surgeons. Each individual surgeon, doctor, physio, osteo has to have their own brand. Number two, pause before you get a logo done. Logos, oh my goodness. It's one of those things that people quickly do so that they can get a business card, so they can start having interactions with clinicians and asking for referrals. Isn't that how it goes? Then you scrape together a bit of money and you sort of hash together a website. I'm going to say to you, wait. The logo should reflect your brand, and it shouldn't be that you try and create a brand around a naff looking logo. And in particular, please, can we get away from the couple of bendy banana shapes and the sort of ping pong ball head stuff? What a load of old tosh. Your logo needs to reflect your brand, and it'll be a weak logo if you haven't done your brand homework first. What are your values? Who are the kind of people you like to treat? Who are the kind of people you don't like to treat? You have to figure that stuff out first before you get around to creating your logo. Number three, figure out who it is that you actually want to treat in private practice. That way you can shape your brand. When we're first starting out, we're desperate to get bums on seats. We need to pay the mortgage. Your wife just bought another car. The kids are going to private school. It's expensive. Let's face it, sometimes our keenness means that we bring in just about everybody, and that becomes really murky, because my brand should be saying, I'm Kath, I treat patients who've got hip and groin problems, rather than I'm Kath, I might see you if you've got a sore big toe, an achy ear, or maybe a sort of diabetic foot thing. That's not the way we should do it. You need to set this out with intent, and remember to speak to people on the internet and in person about who it is you like to treat. Ask yourself those questions. Who am I really skilled at treating? Which kind of problems do I get a real buzz out of solving? How can I help people in the ways that others can't? Those will get you clearer to understanding what your brand's about. Number four, make sure your brand appeals to your ideal patient. Sometimes we make the mistake of writing website copy for clinicians, and it needs to speak to the patient. They need to feel that connection and know that you are the go-to person for their problem. So when you're writing content, which is part of your brand, it needs to demonstrate that you can solve this problem because you're that kind of person. That way the patient understands you. Number five, choose your brand's name wisely. If you're a solo clinician, it sometimes makes sense to use your name as your brand. For instance, my colleague Giles Stafford has gilesstafford.com. I'm Kath Spencer-Smith, but sometimes people forget about the hyphen and it's a bit messy. So I chose the brand name Sport Doc London because it says something about what I do and where I do it. Here's the thing. Many people will be in your similar situation, and you're going to find that lots of names and domain names in particular have already been taken. So you need to think about this really carefully. What you don't want to do is end up with a brand name where you can't then attach the social media handles to it because somebody already has those. How do you find out what that is? Well, if you go to namechecker.com, it'll give you a little bar that you can type in the supposed best guess fit for your brand, and it'll tell you if that URL is available and whether Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. are also available too. Don't be princessy about this. If you can't have them all, ditch it. Number 6, be true to your brand. Let's face it, we're all different. As I say, different strokes for different folks, and your brand needs to portray that. There's no point having a brand that you want to portray that isn't matched up with what people can visually see and read about you. So if you're a no-nonsense, tough love rehabber, don't put pink crystals on your website. It just ain't right. Number 7. Quit the waffle and say what you mean. Forget all that corporate speak nonsense. If you feel like you're going to say the words self-actualization, don't. It's rubbish. Say what you mean. And number 8, get a really good professional to design your logo. Your logo is a small part, an important part, but a small part of the overall brand. You need an expert in this area to do it because it can look so wrong otherwise. We'll show you some epic fails in a moment. Ask yourself, has that person designed for medical websites before? Are they somebody who's been asking you enough questions? Have they been pushing you hard enough to discover what your brand is actually about? Have they asked you to actually engage with that process? And can they show you examples of their work, or could you even get to speak to people who've worked with them before? It's going to cost money. It's well worth it. So don't be a cheapskate. Still think you're only going to spend a £5? Here are those epic fails. I'm Dr. Kath Spencer-Smith at Private Practice Ninja, and we'll see you next time.